Good evening, everyone. My name is Gabriella Ukachi. My presentation this evening is on implicit bias in the workplace. Implicit bias in the workplace. Imagine being in a room of people making career, livelihood, and future decisions. You may not know it, yet preconceptions influence your thoughts and actions. These small biases have significant impacts. This occurs everywhere at work. I am here to talk about implicit bias in the workplace, which affects all professionals. I extensively studied this issue and used reliable sources and academic studies. You may ask why this matters. Implicit workplace prejudice impacts everyone, regardless of profession or industry. As an employee, manager, leader, or HR professional, it affects your daily decisions. Understanding and addressing this problem is essential to creating fairer, more inclusive, and more productive workplaces. The implicit bias, the unconscious opinions, and the preconceptions. These are what I am going to talk about in this slide. The implicit views or preconceptions frequently without awareness is called the implicit bias. Is frequently done without being conscious and without you or anybody knowing about it. So they are hidden prejudices and they affect our actions. They might be based on age, disability, socio-economic situation, race, or even gender. According to Doughton and Villagrán's research on minimizing and addressing implicit bias, implicit prejudices as the automatic unintended link between groups and preconceptions about them. Remember that these prejudices, they are not conscious. Then the impact of this prejudice, in treating this, you might wonder, how does this influence work? Professional life is common with implicit bias. Hiring is affected first. Consider two equally competent job applicants. One is female and the other is male. The recruiting manager may have a minor gender prejudice they are aware of. They might be unaware of this gender prejudice. This may cause accidental employment prejudice. Implicit prejudice influences promotions. Let us imagine that you are up for promotion at your workplace and your well-intentioned supervisor has an unconscious prejudice against specific backgrounds. Biases may affect hiring decisions, even if you are the best candidate. These are not hypothetical. Studies and real-world examples reveal that unconscious discrimination affects employment, promotions, and workplace relationships. News, stories, and studies show that implicit prejudice contributed to company discrimination. Then, what are the measures to address this implicit um, biases that occur at workplaces? What are the measures? This slide is talking about the proactive measures. Now, let us confront workplace unconsciousness, the prejudice that happens there. Creating a fairer and more inclusive workplace, it requires proactive steps. And what are these steps? First step is the awareness and education. There are one method, the awareness and the education step. Recognizing implicit prejudice and its effects help us confront it. When we recognize it, then it can be confronted when it is being recognized. And this is one of the measures to be taken to address it. Then workshops and training may also help workers detect and address prejudices. According to Dalton and Villagrant study, which may provide proactive implicit bias mitigation, these methods might include self-assessment and bias reduction tactics. When we do sex assessment on ourselves, and through education, we know how these biases can be tackled. And also in the implicit bias training, awareness alone is insufficient. We need subconscious bias training too. HR development is crucial to fighting unconscious bias. Over time, training programs have improved in effectiveness and targeting. According to MC Fadden, who examines training program changes in his handbook of work. The name of the handbook is Emerald Handbook of Workplaces and Disruptive HRM. These workshops improve awareness and provide workers and executives with skills to overcome prejudices. Having known what implicit bias means, the measures to be taken to have a peaceful environment and a productive workplace. In conclusion, I would say that unconscious prejudice in the workplace is very, very serious. It affects recruiting, promotions, and company culture, influencing our careers without our knowledge. Today, we discussed unconscious bias, its profound impact on workplaces, and proactive remedies. Let us remember that identifying and rectifying our biases is the first step to a more inclusive and equal workplace as we progress in our careers. So the first step is to rectify and identify our biases. Then, when we identify and rectify, there will be progress in the workplaces and in our careers, and it will help our organizations and make society fairer and more peaceful. Let us work toward a workplace where everyone thrives. And this is my work cited. Thank you for your attention.